Welcome to Progressive Mindset Podcast. My name is Natalie Potts, business coach and mentor, and each week I'll bring you an inspiring personal message to help you unlock creating a living life full of energy, action, impact and happiness. And today I'm welcoming on Adriana, a coach with ICF credentials, a background in NLP coaching, who helps facilitate the development and the growth of individuals, business owners and team leaders to recognise not only their own potential, but the potential of the people in their teams. Over to Adriana. Adriana, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Share a little bit about yourself and how you got into coaching and what you do. I'd love to hear some more about this.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you for having me. Thanks a lot on this lovely evening. About the coaching. Well, the coaching kind of happened. It found me when I actually needed it. So when I started thinking about it, I didn't even know what the coaching was, and that's the truth. And I was working as a new leader for the team, and whatever I was doing wasn't really working, and I really didn't like it. And I remember working before with the departments I was in and the different management. All the management style wasn't that great. I always felt I needed the support a little bit more. I wasn't listening to it. It was quite frustrating. There were different cultures in companies where I was. So the leadership wasn't that great. And I've realized at some point that I was making all the same mistakes as all my managers did in the past. So all the communication between people was broken in my team. There were no relationships, the output was really low. There was a really poor results. And it was really frustrating to them and to me. And because I did see their frustration, it was really hurtful in some way. I knew I needed to do something. Yeah. So at the time, I was practicing mindfulness. And I thought, okay, it actually works for me. So let's do something about it. Let's implement it somehow of working with my team. And it happened that I started working for the new company with the new team, but I did exactly what I wanted to do. Working with people differently. And I started from listening to people rather than telling them what to do. I started from listening. And I remember the specific situation years back where I was trained by the manager to do something. And whatever this person asked me to do, it just didn't work for me really, of how they wanted me to do it. Basically, they wanted me to do something in a specific way, on a specific pace, without giving me details I needed. In a disc profile, I'm a high C, so I need a bit of detail, but also no interruptions. I like some kind of a liberty of doing it. I need to go and try.
Yeah.
And that wasn't given to me. So I struggled with that. So I've learned from that experience, from that particular situation, that listening to others and their needs, it's kind of important, right? So sure. That's exactly what I did with the new team. And, the results were quite good. They were really happy. There was finally a manager that listens to them of what they need, what do they want, how they want to do their work. And it was so exciting to me because I could see the change. And from there, there was no really point of return. I really wanted to do something more for people. And yet again, I was changing a company. Yet again, I was leading a different team. There were different challenges there. So I needed to do something more I should really learn to help people. I could take another management course or the leadership course, but there was different implementation. There are different rules. It didn't really work for me. It wasn't what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I was introduced to the NLP. And I was like, oh my God, it actually works. And NLP really helped me with my own challenges, my own struggles on a personal level. And I thought, okay, hold on a second, I'm finding a good training here. I like it though. Yeah. And I went and I trained with NLP. And since becoming NLP practitioner and NLP coach, I started using this more and more with my teams and the future teams as well. And it was really great. And only then I've learned about the coaching. And when I started my NLP training, that was in 2018, I always knew, there was something amazing happening when you actually ask the questions. And what you can hear, what you can realize what people really want when you give them the chance to talk. That was very important. That was really interesting to me, that I don't need to be the one that points the finger on anything, how they need to be done, what needs to be done, or telling people what do they need, because they know better than I.
Yeah.
And that was a really great moment for me. And then I started with my training, PPD training with the Coaching Academy, and it was really, really great. And it's such a great journey. And since then, I've been working using a coaching skills with my personal clients, with the companies, with my teams, and it's great since then.
It's amazing. There's loads of in that. I love it, and thank you for sharing that. I love the part about just listening, and I think I was talking to someone today actually, where I do mentoring for coaches, and I was just sharing that sometimes they were getting not hooked up, but they were just so concerned about the flow of the coaching session, and I guess the way of doing it and the practicalities. And I just said, when you're asking questions, just listen, and just then ask a question off of the back of that. Don't feel that you've got to do the clunky part all the time. Try your best to make it feel so much more organic and natural in the way that you're coming across as well. So, and I mean more than that, it's just not just the question in terms of your tone, your interest, curiosity. And I think that if we could just focus on just listening as a skill, many of our relationships in an array of areas of our lives would improve, not just business as well.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. And with the coaching session, was also important is that kind of confirmation, what is being said. What did we understand from the client, or whoever we're talking to? What do they really mean by saying something? Just to challenge them a little bit more, let them elaborate, but also to check whenever we understand what they really need. What is it that we can help them with? Or is that one thing that it's really painful for them? And what did they need to do with this, right?
Yeah, I think what's powerful is where you said about NLP and the fact that you were going on your journey and you found so much, and then that's continued for you to then help others. And very much the same for myself. I get asked a lot by people, how do I get my niche? How would you answer that for somebody in terms of finding your niche? What do people need to do?
It is actually a good question. And it actually comes from understanding what do we need as people, what really works for us, where do we feel not just comfortable, but what is true to us to work with. And for me, it is a leadership. It's kind of always been. And since I started the coaching journey, I was also thinking of so what will be my niche? Would that be working with women? Would that be a happiness? Would that be something? And it always came back to the same, leadership, because there was the point where when I struggle and I knew I can understand someone I would be working with, I know what they're going through, I know what is their pain point, what do they struggle with? And if I were to have the conversation right now with any leader that has a problem, I will know exactly what do they mean, because I've been there. Yeah. So it's also giving the client this good connection with me, that they will know that there is no judgment there when I speak to them, that I understand that it is something genuine. It is the unique connection with the coach that will help people to move over the obstacles, because there is this level of understanding, untold really relationship there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think you have to go on a journey yourself, don't you? And be very, I was listening to a podcast this morning from Jim Rohn, and just sharing that the power of having patience and discipline together. And that I often say to people as my one piece of advice is you need to be really patient with your journey, because it's more than just a journey of building a business. It's actually just a journey with yourself within that as well. And, noticing what's changing around you, being more self-aware. How do you bring in, I guess that's my kind of development and some areas that I've focused on with coaching and what I love about it. What's the difference you think that you've seen in doing NLP, and how does that add to a coach's development?
In terms of my own development, it's definitely raised my awareness as well of what is being taught and what is not, how I can observe it, what I can hear in the voice, and actually coming across my own challenges. And as a natural introvert, it was quite difficult for me to either express my own emotions in the past, or to ask people for their struggles, and actually having that kind of deep conversation around it, whereby by using a NLP in coaching, it really helped me to open myself up to a client, effectively being able to give a much more support. And interestingly, what you said about the patients, I'm naturally really impatient. I wanted things here and now or yesterday. If I don't see the result, or I hadn't seen the result really fast, I became frustrated. Whereby now, by coaching, I know how to take a step back and observe the situation a little bit more, so I can actually reflect on everything that is going on. And and it's really good to actually, as a coach, to have my own coach that is helping me with my business or my personal things. So patience is definitely a key here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, somebody said to me today, should I, do you have your own coach? And I said, well, yeah, I do. I said, since I've, last, as long as I can remember now, probably 5 years, I've had a coach, because I said, it's not all the time. I said, but I do notice that I develop and accelerate my growth so much quicker by having that person in my life, and knowing that I'm evolving and developing as a person. There is no end destination. You'll never be perfect. It's always just progression. And I think there's a big power in having to relearn certain things as well. And I know that I did a CPD day on mindfulness as well. And because I know you just mentioned about mindfulness, and it was really, really powerful. Just that moment in terms of thinking like how I show up as well. It's not just about moving your clients forward. And I said this today to somebody, you've got to create this environment where you're going to be your best as well for that person and for yourself within that, and setting up the session as well. And I think that comes at the start, and I think it comes after as well, in terms of how you do that, and then how you get the most from everything that you do, and investing yourself into things. And I know I've had to be, sometimes I can get lots on my pad, and I guess what I've tried to do the last year or so is really rein that back, because I can't be on 100% of the time at 100%. I've got to slow down, speed up, and sometimes I need to take some things out in order to perform my best at then what I do, those core hours of the day as such.
Yeah, and it's extremely wise approach, and I often say as well, just exactly what you said, slow down to speed up. And it actually really works for me as well. Whenever I struggle, whenever I've got so much going on, whether it's a work-wise, whenever during completing my corporate and executive coaching diploma at the moment, whenever I did so many other things. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic diploma. I can recommend it to everybody. And having this moments of being able to step back and look at everything as a wider picture, it's where you actually see the elements of the picture. You see all the colors, you see all the shapes, you see absolutely everything you need. You're able really to see where you're actually going, because it is like, if you like on the flat ground, and if you look towards the horizon, you only see the things around it. But if you climb a hill, if you climb a ladder, if you get on high-rise building, then you see much more. What is around the horizon, what is happening there and now, what obstacles you can facing, or then you can realize what you achieved up to the point you're there. And that is really important, to take that time to reflect, so the time to step back, to observe. It gives so much. And initially, when I started doing that with my own business, with my own coaching, I was like, oh my God, such a waste of time. I want to go, fast forward, like be on this really fast train. But then I understood that, sometimes you have to get off the train. You have to stay on a quiet station and observe and just think, where did you get? And, if you just go really fast forward, you actually don't appreciate what is going around you. So it's again back to mindfulness, to really enjoy the moment. And it might be actually good advice to new coaches as well. Just enjoy the time when you study, when you practice with clients. Just look on what is happening here and now. What do you feel? What you're learning? Those kind of things. And it's always been really good for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love that as well. How are you finding bringing in the corporate coaching as well to what you do? Because I've done corporate executive, and I think that the biggest take away I have from it is about how everybody in life should show up as a leader, I think, and there's a big focus in that around kind of leaderships and qualities, and I loved all of that side in terms of bringing it into any coaching that I do with people, whether it's one-on-one or business or group as well. There's so many tools and resources you can take from that. But for me, there's a huge thing about looking at the qualities as a leader and how we then show up in our own businesses.
Absolutely. And, this diploma offers so much, and it gives so many tools to work with, and with people on all levels of the leadership, or all levels within a company, whenever they're in leadership roles or not. But in terms of a leadership as such, that gives so many different tools, at least to me, to be able to work with people in a way that they understand that, well, I'm sure they do, but they understand the impact of it, that the people they lead, they will always drive the results. And, I believe in people, and I know that everyone's able to produce the really great results. They just need the chance to do it. And with using also DISC, and so it really helps to navigate and to show people in leadership, or people in corporate environments, how to recognize, how their teams operate, how the individuals operate, what do they need, what is the team dynamic, and what is the communication. So it really expands my own coaching tool set to explain all those things to people in leadership, and the impact people have on the business. And whatever happens in the business, whenever it's any company challenge, whenever there is a new process to be implemented, new software, whenever this is new project or some restructurization in a company, whenever the leadership development plan is in motion or just being designed, whenever there is a business merger with another business, all of that will always have the impact on individual, on their performance, and all on their state of mind. And this is extremely important. So it's all around the individual and how to work with each individual within the business to be able to grow it, really. So so I think I went on a bit of journey here, but yes, that's what it means to me, and that's how I use it. And currently I'm working for the company where we look into developing everybody. And while we've merged two different businesses, it is a huge challenge for my team and the side of the business I was in, to adjust to the new processes, new procedures, to the new systems. So now I'm offering individual sessions to people and to the leaders within that business, to help us to move across that quite difficult and challenging period. It's always interesting about the challenge, because there is always opportunity in it. So
that's great. And you've had a bit of a commitment with ICF, haven't you?
Yes, I have. So I became accredited last year, and it took me a few months, about 5-6 months, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. It gave me so much exposure of working with different people, but as well as learning. And I've really enjoyed the mentoring process with towards the accreditation, and it's much different from the mentoring with TCA, which I really, really valued. I've learned bucket loads, but here it really helped me to work with the core competencies of coaching. I really love the code of ethics from ICF, and it's really close to my own. And that also is helping me to bring it into corporate, particularly around the ethics of working with a corporate client. And it's been great. And it wasn't that easy. It was quite hard, but I've learned a lot. And I think if I haven't spent that few months on it, I wouldn't have that knowledge or that confidence I have now. So highly recommend it to everybody.
What kind of, because you've done, like you just mentioned there, you've done loads and loads of in coaching, looking at the corporate as well. Where does your motivation come from to continue your own personal development?
Just being able to give more, to give more to people in the corporate world, to give more to be able to develop leaders in a way that I envisage leadership, to give that support. And while I'm still being a leader for my own team within the business, it's really good for me to help them even more, to bring more skills. It's a continuous development as a coach. You just learn more, you just open up more, with that practice, with listening to people, how they experienced their coaching as a mentors, you just able to learn different situations, different approaches, or there will always be someone that will ask the question you didn't even think of. And that is very important, and that is a huge learning there. And it's just giving you that possibility of experience someone else's coaching session in a way, but not that you will be repeating what happened in that session, but to observe, to understand, to reflect on it, and to find what is it you actually find in yourself that you want to be improving, what that improvement will give to your clients, because in effect it's always about the clients, always about the individual you want to develop. No, for sure it is, absolutely. And I think that I remember I put something the other day that kind of on a post that I was doing on social media that when your clients win, you win, and that's a big driver in terms of, in my perspective, that giving back to others and adding value to others, and you just develop your skill set anyway. And that's what I love about coaching really as well, is that I don't come away from a session just thinking, oh, I've just helped somebody else. I learn just as much as well. And even when I do all of the podcasts, the main reason I started doing a podcast was to hold me accountable to things as well, and to give value back and everything, but just to keep driving things and seeing that I'm never going to be there yet as such, that term, or it's just going to be continual. And I've really focused a lot last few months on that. Like I said earlier, that they say, like, what do you want to achieve as a goal? And this is ironic that I share this, I guess, but ultimately we never get to our goal or destination because there's always something else, right? We just build on that, won't we? Or it would never be perfection anyway. So I guess just that change in perspective I've had the last few months really helped me as well. That's amazing. It's great. And the goal will always change in a way, because your reality is changing. And this is what I've learned as well for all that journey through the ICF accreditation. And I could see that in me as much as I've learned for the whole process. I've learned from my mentors, and okay, it might be a basic of the coaching, but before you actually experience a few different things, you just don't know what do they mean. And it's fantastic, and I absolutely love working with Grow module, and I can't imagine myself of working with any other module really. I am aware there are a few others around, but this really works. And interesting enough, most of the session, particularly continuous conversations with the clients, with the long-term clients, they will always start with reality.
Yeah.
And then you build up the goal, and then you're finding the goal for the session, because the main goal might be still discussed over even a 10 coaching sessions, and you just explore all the different avenues to towards that goal, which might effectively change anyway. So yeah, it is just and it can be fun, to be honest. So I really enjoy it.
I love that. I haven't ever thought of it like that, like you say, about the reality first as such, and then going into it. And again, that's what I was sharing with someone. When you're coming through doing a qualification, you do have to do the clunky stuff, as I say, and stick to the script and follow a model, etc. Because you have to learn, and there has to be. It's like learning to drive, isn't it? You have to have something there to start with. However, and like I said at the start, it then becomes more natural and organic because you get used to things. So. But I do like that idea of just, like kind of where you're at the moment perspective and shifting things. And again, trying things out with different clients. Some things will work and some things won't. Some things will work with different people and some things won't. And I think it's, again, that the open-mindedness to think, what went well, what didn't go so well, what can I change and continue to build on that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, the repetition will help you to become a master. So as many times as you try something, you will find your own ways. I know it works for some people, it doesn't really for others, but you have to go through it and to understand it, to observe. So, to be patient with it, to enjoy the process, to practice, experiment, and fail as much as you can, really, or make all those mistakes so you can actually learn on the back of it. And that is quite interesting. And you've asked me earlier, what else is the corporate diploma gives to me? It's just a huge tool set that I can use with everyone, and not only within the corporate world, but with any client, even life coaching clients. And you're just able to explore a little bit more. You've got more to ask. You can adapt any tool to any situation, and it's fun. And it's a testing ground as well for me as a coach. What really works, what doesn't, and that gives such a great learning.
Yeah, I love that. And they say repetition is the mother of all learning, don't they? So you just repeat stuff and keep going with it, I think. I've loved that share. I think it's really powerful. I always kind of wrap up at the end with some questions. So I'm going to shoot these off to you because I want to see what you think. So how do you measure success?
Oh, that's a big question, How do I measure success? You just killed me with this question. How do I measure success? The success means different things to everybody, and for me is the recognition for what I do, but not recognition as fame, but recognition as I've made an impact on someone's life, someone's work, someone's performance, and that is great for me. So when I hear that feedback from someone, oh my God, this question you've asked really helped me, or, this session gave me this and this and that, the coaching relationship helped me with this and that. That is the great result for me. That's how I measure my own success, the results of others.
I love that. What a lovely way to put it. What would you tell your younger self?
Be patient. I've mentioned earlier, I'm incredibly impatient, but the patience actually is offering so much, and that reflection point that we all need. So yes, patient. Be patient, Adriana. Be patient.
Spot on. What can people do to live a happier life?
Different thing for everybody, but staying true to themselves in a way, trying to understand who they really are, what do they really need, and not being afraid of being themselves. And I think invest in a coach, so you can raise your self-awareness. But that would probably be a good thing as well, as an advice to someone who really wants to be happy. Just raise the awareness about yourself. What do you really want? What do you really need? What do you really feel? Where are you really going? What works for you? What doesn't?
It's that phrase, isn't it? Like, be you. And I think that's so, you do have to be authentic. And I was doing something quirky this morning, and I thought, people might think that's a bit weird, but actually I thought, but then that's me. Why would I want to change for somebody else if that makes me happy? And surely I would want to empower anybody to do the same as well. I want people to genuinely feel that they can be themselves around me and others and be authentic. I think that's really powerful, and that's when people live happier lives, for sure, like you've just said there. What can people do to live a more purposeful life?
I think, again, staying true to themselves, and they will find their own purpose. And there might be different advice to different people, and it really depends what do they really want. But to make the life purposeful, start from yourself. When you discover yourself, you'll be much more open to others.
Yeah. And finally, what do you want to be known for?
For someone who makes a difference, for someone who believed in people and helped them and it gave them the opportunity to succeed, whatever that means to that person. So, so that's what I would like to be known, someone who makes a difference.
Good for you. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. Where can people find you, Adriana?
Thank you, Natalie. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me in the Coaching Academy group on Facebook, and also on my website, www.thewingscoaching.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Really value it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to my podcast today. I really hope you've taken some value. If you would like to focus on achieving your purpose-driven goals, then reach out and share with me one thing that's going great for you right now and one thing that you're really struggling with. Let's see if or how I can help you to leverage your business to make more money, make an impact, and have more freedom. As always, go take action and make an impact, and have a great day.